Hi, Tacoma. Welcome to week 9 of our Poetry Flash workshops. Thanks for sticking with me. By the time you watch this, it will be Friday, May 29th. But I record these a little earlier in the week, and it has been a hell of a week already. Over a single holiday weekend, Memorial Day, a day when in our house we are grieving and remembering the lives lost in combat and in military service. We have seen more racist acts committed against those whose right to breathe and live and watch birds have been threatened unjustly, which is why this week, instead of culminating all the Poem Friday workshops, I really want to talk about how and why we write poetry to confront and begin to change injustice. I'm thinking specifically about how writing has been an implement of change for centuries, but writing alone does not make change. Writing alone does not stop bullets. It does not keep one's airway open. It does not protect us from these physical weapons. But poetry is something that unifies a people. It brings a community together, and a community that comes together is the instrument of change. So writing in this way has actually been both dangerous and necessary for some time. Where do you turn in your poetry? Where do you turn in your reading in times of crisis, in witnessing injustice? I want to know because I want to go there as well. I find that in times like these, I am turning to Adrienne Rich, I turn to Carolyn Forche, I turn to Audre Lorde, Joy Harjo, I turn to Claribel Alegria. There are many poets whose work I feel I can bring into moments like these as reminders to listen, reminders to hear, reminders to keep going, reminders to see, reminders to believe, reminders to keep loving. I want to share a poem with you by Jane Hirschfield. If you get the poem a day in your email inbox from poets.org, this poem would have shown up a couple of years ago. This is a poem that I feel I've turned to in this week and I wanted to share, and in hopes that you'll tell me where you're turning as well. This is Let Them Not Say by Jane Hirschfield. Let them not say we did not see it. We saw. Let them not say we did not hear it. We heard. Let them not say they did not taste it. We ate. We trembled. Let them not say it was not spoken, not written. We spoke. We witnessed with voices and hands. Let them not say they did nothing. We did not enough. Let them say, as they must say something, a kerosene beauty, it burned. Let them say, we warmed ourselves by it, read by its light, praised, and it burned. One of the qualities I appreciate most about this poem is that it becomes a call to action for those living now in their relationship to those who will continue living and those who will live later, who will learn about the injustices of our time. I was talking to my friend Lindsey on the phone last night. Lindsey T. Jackson is a performer. She's a dancer, a poet, playwright, an entrepreneur. She's a single mom. She's a community leader. She inspires people around her. And I was asking her From a practical perspective, what are we doing in the face of injustice? How are we raising our voice? And where are our voices going? Of course, poetry and art came up. And Lindsey shared a poem with me there on the phone, and it made an impact. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But first, here's Lindsey.
Today I'm sharing my poem, It's Our Turn to Cry. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet home of liberty, land of the brave. It's our turn to cry. Cry for the little black boy and black girl that came out shackled at birth. Cry for the white ancestor you cannot celebrate and leaves a stain you must wash away. Cry for the little bodies cold in the dirt that we did not protect. Cry for the little girl whose innocence was ripped away and will never be returned. Cry for the little boy whose humanity was whipped from him by the lash of the words, man up. Cry for the American dream that has never existed but on paper, that has been torn asunder and dragged through the mud. Cry for the grandmother and grandfather whose lifetime of sweat and tears was lost overnight. Cry for the lover who was told that to love whom she or he or they loved would be to incur God's disdain. Cry for the collective pain and shame that has been marinated, cooked up, and served to the highest bidder. Cry for the child that died in the detention center. Cry for the water that was turned not to wine but to poison. Cry for the baby sipping Mountain Dew from the bottle. Cry for you, cry for me, cry for our country. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of lies, home of the coward, it's our turn to cry.
I'm so glad that Lindsey could share this poem with us. I'm so glad I could meet Lindsey when she was working in Tacoma before COVID hit. I can't wait to see my friends again. What I need from this poem is its repetition, its practical call to action. And what I also needed was this conflict in perception of the poem itself. When you hear Our Turn to Cry, it might be easy to think defeat, to think lament, when really what the poem is doing is asking us to see, to step up to injustices and see them and say that they happened, and not to stay there, not to stop at seeing, but to move past that and work with conviction and work toward love. I need to hear that, and I need to be reminded of that. And I'm grateful to Lindsey for her part in this. This brings me to our prompts for this week. Your first prompt is to write a call to action. You can use repetition at the beginnings of each line or phrase the way Jane Hirschfield does, the way Lindsey T. Jackson does, if you want to. It's not really required. Call out to us with a plan. Tell us what needs to be done. This can be short, it can be long. There really is no restriction in terms of form here. Your second prompt is to make a list poem. What have you done, or what will you do in the face of grave wrongdoing, including our own wrongdoing, our own mistakes, as a country, as a community, as families, and as individuals? What characterizes a list poem is that it's itemized. The form relies on the succession of one idea or thing after another. Your third prompt, this is kind of a doozy, is send out one of these drafts or send out a poem that you have that directly addresses injustice. Send it out for consideration. Look up who's accepting submissions. If you go to Submittable and use the Discover feature, that's a good place to start too. You could go to the Facebook page Calls for Submissions. Look for who is open and put yourself out there, put your voice out there, and submit something for publication. So that's all I have for you at the end of this 9th poetry workshop. I gotta tell you, I don't even know if I'm gonna be back next week doing this. I promised that we would have workshops all through our stay home orders. And in Washington State, we're just kind of waiting to see when we're moving into phase 2 of things opening up. So I'll keep you posted. Take care of each other and have a good week. Maybe I'll see you here next week. Maybe I won't. My grasp on what is going on and what will be going on in the future is getting loose.